Oh, there they are. Hi. Awesome. Okay. So hi, everyone. Welcome. Happy June. Happy Pride Month. We are celebrating Pride and honoring everyone in our Myriad community who is part of LGBTQ+. And as a way of doing that, we wanted to give the chance for some of our Myriad team and their family to step in and kind of talk with us and share some of their experiences, what it's like being in the fitness world when you are part of that community. So I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves. First, we'll just go kind of clockwise order. So Carol, do you want to start for me?
Sure. Augie, can you say your name?
Augie.
Augie. This is my son Augie and my wife Jill. Hey. And we've been married like almost 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, we're old. And this is our son, and we're pregnant with another little one. And I am a life and leadership coach and facilitator. And I also work at Myriad as a coach as well. All right.
Awesome. Thank you. So happy to have you guys. Cool. And then just going around right underneath of Carol there, at least on my screen. I guess it might be different on everyone. So I see Mickey down there.
There we go. Okay, hi. Yes, Mickey here. I've been a member of Myriad CrossFit Naptown Fitness for more than 9 years, a coach for, I kind of lost track, either 3 or 4, I think. My full-time career remains at IU as an HR manager of the faculty. This is my husband, Shane. Been a member for a year now himself at Myriad, and our 1-year anniversary is coming up in September. So we've been married for less than a year, and I'm already old. So regardless of how little or how long we've been married, I'm already old. I'm getting decrepit, yes. So yeah, and we've already planned our 1-year anniversary honeymoon vacation to Norway in September. So we're looking forward to that. Yeah.
Very exciting. I've always wanted to go to Norway. That will be amazing. And then Meg.
Hi, I'm Meg, full-time career being a firefighter, but I've been a coach. I lost count as well, but it seems like forever. My partner, Christina, for those of you who don't know, her name is Christina, aka Tina. So call her Tina, Christina if you're mad at her. But yeah, we're happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And I didn't introduce myself, actually. My name's Marta, and I've been a member with Myriad and CrossFit Practice Indy for a really long time, and I've been working there for the last 6 months or so as the yoga program coordinator. So cool. Well, we'll go ahead and get started, and I'll just start with the first question and kind of let you guys hop in as you feel like you would like to answer. So question 1, how does it feel when you're walking into a new gym as part of LGBTQ+ community?
So since I've only been a member of Myriad, I didn't answer this part in the introduction because I had a tiny human crawling on me, but I've only been there a couple of years, moved right before the pandemic. And I will say, like, I had been at a gym for a long time before that. And so this was like the first new gym I had to walk into in a while. And I kind of forgot that it's like it is a little bit nerve-wracking to be like, what are you going to think of me and my family? And we moved from a pretty progressive place to Indianapolis, which I didn't know, it's central Indiana. And I was like, I don't know how people are going to be about this. And so this is one of the times when, like, I know sometimes we worry that, if having pride shirts is just performative or things like that. Like I know we worry about stuff like that, and it's good that we do. And also that's one of the first things I walked in and saw was that we had like a big old bright rainbow shirt. And I was like, okay, well, like, at least I know that, people aren't going to like openly snub me for this reason here. And then I found out that there were even gay coaches, like these two. And I was like, oh, okay, like this is fine. Right. So, and if it's like, if you don't get that feeling, you can move on, but nobody ever wants to do that either. So that's my thought.
Thanks, Carol. Anyone else want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and hop in. So I don't know, I guess I just reached a point in my life where I don't necessarily think of how I might feel when entering into any type of new establishment, being a career or a gym or what have you. I simply be myself. And I was introduced to CrossFit Naptown 9+ years ago by a gay friend of mine. So I knew going into it that I would be completely welcome within that community. And it's just been so refreshing in the 9+ years that I've made so many more friends there, gay, straight, transgender, that it's not something that I necessarily really contemplate much anymore, because I'm just comfortable being myself and being around people who are always comfortable being themselves as well.
Go ahead, Meg.
Okay. I was just gonna say, I had been a member of like Naptown or CrossFit Naptown, whatever it was, before Myriad. And then I left and went to a couple other gyms, like CrossFit gyms, for a few years. And my experience with that was walking into these places, and there was no, like Carol said, like there was no like visible outward indication that they supported the LGBTQ plus community. And I think that's why, Myriad just like with the pride flags, and I know it's just like the little sticker on the door, but I think that makes a huge difference when you're coming in, because when you go into places that aren't like that, like I didn't feel like I could be myself. I didn't really open up. I didn't try to make friends because I didn't know if I would be 100% welcomed in that community, in that setting, because there was nothing there to indicate that they supported who I was as a person. So and then their inclusion helped me decide that going to the gym and being a coach there as well at Myriad.
Yeah, and like, kind of to Tina's point too, on what happens when it's not right. And like I'll share the very first CrossFit gym that I joined. I loved it for a lot of reasons, right? There was a lot of great community. The workouts were awesome. The coaches were great. The owners were great. And I will never forget being in like the weightlifting room, which was a huge room. And these two guys who had been longtime members were kind of in this like fight with each other and kind of like bantering. And one of them yelled across the weightlifting room, "Don't be such a F word." And nobody said anything for a few minutes. Right. And it was just like, oh, those are the guys, until somebody who I kind of barely knew at the time, but who grew to be like one of my best friends, and like an aunt basically to my kids, was like, "Hey man, that's not cool." And it was like, and she said that, but it wasn't like part of the culture that it wasn't okay. And I was like, oh, okay. Or like when we were in Texas for a long time for some medical reasons, and like there was a really kind of more religious based CrossFit that we went to, and they were fine with us, but you also just don't know that walking in. So it can be a little bit, I don't know, to have the opposite is unique, I think.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I cannot imagine what that's like to have to think about that walking into a space every time that I enter somewhere new. So thank you. So we'll go on to the next question. we kind of touched on this a little bit, but what are some indicators that a gym might be a safe space? We kind of talked about, like, if there's the pride flag on the wall, or maybe the t-shirts or the stickers. Is there anything else that kind of flashes as an indicator, like, oh, I can feel safe here, or maybe even a warning sign that this won't be a safe space for me? And it can relate to Myriad, but it can also relate to any other experience you might have.
I think for me, being a firefighter and going into different stations, I've developed like a sense, like, when you are not going to be able to be truthful whatsoever with these people. So in doing so, it's a lot of times I'm just like, no, I'm not going to share that part with you, because I know pretty much you are not going to agree with that. So I think it's easier for me to tell when I'm not being like, right away, there's a red flag. And I don't know, I just developed that sense of like, yeah, I don't really want to bring that. It does help having the stickers and whatnot, but I think the biggest thing is just, for me, I expect you all to, like, be nice people if I'm going to be walking in there. If not, I read it and I'm out.
I think something else just that I pay attention to, like if I'm going to, like, even just something as silly as like a new restaurant, like if I go on their social media and they use like their pronouns for certain thing, or they have the pride flag in their like info section, like just little things like that, that show that they're like progressive, welcome to all, like that you can truly be yourself. I think that's really helpful.
You go. Okay. I think one thing that like I am also personally trying to get better at in making creating a more inclusive space from a coaching perspective is like not being super both heteronormative and binary with gender, right? We're so used to saying, oh, like here's the men's workout and here's the women's workout, and that's not really inclusive from a gender identity perspective. And then when we do like couples things, like not always assuming that a couple or a family looks a certain way. And I think those are things that are a little more subtle. But like I think one of our first like couples yoga things, it was like it wasn't maybe like 6 months after we got here or something. It wasn't like, and now the guy does this, and now the girl, like it was very like, okay, partner one, partner two. And it wasn't like built around the idea that there was this stereotypical heteronormative couple. And I think those things are more subtle, but they make a big difference in the long run.
Just to echo what everyone else has said so far, definitely the stickers, the shirts, the flags, definitely always welcoming open signs for me. But one thing that I have noticed when I do travel, and over the past several years, I've checked out several other CrossFit gyms, and I always reach out prior to traveling to different cities, states, to say, hey, I'm going to be in that area. I'd love to check out your CrossFit gym. I'm going to be there these dates and would just love a place to work out. And several of those places, like the owners and the coaches, have connected with me on social media prior to me coming out there. So, obviously per some of my posts, I'm assuming that they can pick up on the fact that I am a gay man. And it's been really eye-opening and welcoming that when I get there, that they expect me to be there, and everyone has always been just so welcoming and cool, and they know my name as soon as I come in. They mention they checked out videos and whatnot on my social media, so that's always been very heartwarming. And to kind of like bounce off, Carol, at what you just said, I've tried to get into, when I'm coaching, the like mindset of like a lot of times many people instinctively, coaches will say, way to go guys, let's go guys. Like guys is the pronoun to go to. And I've really been teaching myself not to necessarily say that anymore, just making sure that, because I remember, and this is going to sound really, really kind of silly, but I had this little switch in the back of my head that helped me to do this is that I'm a huge hardcore, we are, Survivor fans. And it was last season, for 40 seasons, Jeff Probst, whenever the members were coming, the contestants, castaways were coming to a challenge, he would always say, come on in, guys, come on in, guys, come on in, guys. And of course, there are many women there. There are gay men, lesbians, transgender contestants now. And it was last season, he just kind of brought it up like, so we're in this day and age now that, are you comfortable with me saying, come on in, guys? And there was one transgender contestant that said, you know what? No, I'm not. And that was like really eye-opening to Jeff, and it was eye-opening to everyone, all the other Survivor castaways. And it was eye-opening to me. And I was like, why do I always say that when I'm coaching? Way to go, guys. Like, keep going. So I cut that out of when I'm coaching, and I just make sure that I'm just yelling and screaming at each person's name as much as I possibly can, so that they know I'm definitely cheering them on for all, 3 solid seconds. My focus is on them before I move on to the next person. So I always have that in the back of my mind now.
Yeah, I really love that. I didn't know about that on Survivor, but that makes me like, way to go, Survivor. Like, everyone that was producing that show, that's awesome. But it's true. I have a really hard time with guys, and that's so built into our language. And I think it's really interesting that even like we can know it's not a great thing to use, but it's just so hard to get over it, and trying to be conscious of that I think it shows a lot to people. So that's one I'm working on, is guys. I always say that one. Plus, hearing names is so nice, right? Like, I think it's nicer to hear your name anyways than just a random gendered word. So thank you. Cool. So what do you feel that others can do to help you feel more comfortable being open within a fitness space? Obviously, like the pronouns is a big one. I know that, but are there any other small gestures that people can do to help with that?
There's like, again, these are like smaller things. So pronouns, but also, not using gendered language when you're assuming somebody's partner. Like I still get asked all the time, like, what's your husband do? And I'm like, well, actually my wife. So I have to like correct people. And it just feels like coming out over and over again, where like, if somebody just asks you like, oh, hey, what's your partner do? Or what's your spouse do? So using non-gendered language when you ask about people's families, I think is helpful. I think that goes for babies too, and other things, but like particularly with spouses. But I think that can be helpful. And then being like, using whatever language I do, right? Like, somebody asked me one time, like, well, what if I referred to Jill as your husband? And I was like, what? No, like, I call her my wife. You can call her my wife. Yeah. And not that that's like, it came from a good place, but I think that that's the kind of thing that, like, yeah, ask about my partner, like, talk about it like it's, normal life, not weird or different, or like, and I think just being as open about that, and non-gendered if you don't know somebody, because that makes a lot of assumptions, even for people that you think don't look gay, whatever that means.
So Carol took the words right out of my mouth. Like, that's how I know how my day's gonna go at the firehouse. If they come to me and they're like, so they want to know more about me, and they ask how my partner is, I'm like, okay, I can talk to you. But 9 times out of 10, it's, what does your boyfriend do? Or are you married? Like, what's your husband do? That changes the game so much. We were literally just talking about that. It's like, you say that, then I know, that there's different places and it doesn't look the same. So that's my big thing, is just using that non-like gendered, like, what does your significant other or my partner does this or not. So.
I mean, I would say from like strictly just a member perspective, I mean, I came in already like kind of already knowing what's going on as far as like Mike was a coach there. So I felt pretty safe as far as like referring to him as my fiance and then my husband from the beginning. Because I get a little like, sometimes I want people to know that I'm gay. So I don't want to say partner, because a lot of now straight couples use this term. So I want people to be fairly straightforward that, hey, you know, he's a gay man, he has a husband. But everyone at the gym was super cool about it. I mean, usually I'm just there to compete anyway, or even though there's not a competition, but everyone's been super inclusive, and I've never felt like I couldn't speak freely about Mike or our life or our marriage. So I've had a great experience.
I will share just like one tiny little detail. It was like 2 weeks ago, and Shane and I were in an actual class together, and Christina and Anna were coaching, and it was just so cool. So like every time Shane and I are like, one of us is leaving for the day, or I'm leaving the gym, he's coming, I'm going, what have you. One of us is leaving for work. We always will give one another a kiss and say, I love you. And, you know, like, we don't think about who is around us and whatnot, but obviously being at Myriad, we know that everyone is, you know, definitely open and inclusive. But it was a couple weeks ago, and we were working out, and, you know, we always say, you know, great job, babe. And the workout was done, and we kissed each other. And then Christina, she just exclaimed, oh my God, I love love. That is just so awesome. So it was, you know, just little details like that that are sprinkled throughout Myriad on a daily basis that are always heartwarming to be a part of.
I know that was about, or like that was highlighting what Christina did to say that, Mickey, but like the thing that made me think of is, for people who've been out a long time, right? Like I saw that as like, if I see you guys give each other a kiss, I'm immediately more likely to be even more open. Like, it's been a lot of years of being out, so it's like, I'm fine, right? Like, but wasn't always that way. And part of the way, like, I started feeling more comfortable with that was, somebody else in here is uncomfortable too. And if I'm hiding this, or I look like I'm ashamed of something, it's going to make that person think they should be ashamed of something or hiding something. So seeing people who are out, affectionate, you know, all those things, there's somebody in there who's not totally out, or, you know, there could be. And I think that that's a huge thing that, I know we're talking about like what allies can do to help make it a safe space, but sometimes I think we can underestimate how much your own action makes it a safer space for people who might not be fully open. Also, seeing Meg and Tina compete really helps me feel better about competing with y'all. So thanks for that.
A little couple rivalry is always kind of fun. Keep it lighthearted.
Is it fun if she kicks my ass every time? I don't know.
Well,
So it's only
depends
fun
on your
if,
person.
like, not, you know, one-sided. Always one-sided.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for that, Carol, because it is true. Like, you know, we're, as allies, we can all look to do something, but I think it's good to remember too, just the little things that we all do. It's those little things that you don't always think about that help create safer spaces, and, you know, getting over those assumptions that we make about each other as well, because we all have like different narratives that we grow up with that inform how we think about the life and look at it. But sometimes we have to realize everyone's coming from a totally different space, so we can't just assume that everyone has a husband because I have a husband, or kids, you know, or that our families all look the same. So trying to get over those assumptions, that's real work. So final question. You don't have to share if you're not comfortable, of course, but if you would like to share, does anyone have like a particularly negative experience that they've gone through within a fitness environment, or also on the flip side of that, a particularly positive one that you would be excited to share?
You guys go. I already shared one at the beginning, but I will say that was like, gosh, 15 years ago now or something. So that goes back to the me who was like, I wasn't married. It wasn't like official. People didn't know. I, you know, was told I looked straight. And that was really a terrifying time for me. So to have somebody else who knew I was gay say something in a space where it was kind of okay for nobody to say anything was really impactful for me and for our friendship long term.
I don't have a particularly negative one because I do pride myself in if I had a negative experience or just that off feeling that I'm like, I'm not going back. So luckily I haven't had any of that negative side, but I guess the positive, like when you're talking about with Mickey, like just being able to, when I'm coaching on Mondays and then I haven't seen her maybe for 24 hours and she can come in and give me a kiss before I coach and that's normal, is probably one of my favorite things. Because who knows where I've come from, what station I'm in, what I've had to hide or whatever, then being able to be comfortable in my own skin with her in that space is probably the highlight of being in a safe space in fitness.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And just, I mean, I didn't have any particularly like negative experiences at gyms, but I did end up leaving them because I didn't make friends because I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel like I could be my 100% self. And I mean, I personally don't want to spend money in a place that I don't feel like is supporting me, even if I do get a good workout in. So.
Technology. I'm part Amish, so excuse me. I've had oodles and oodles of positive experiences, especially at Myriad. When I saw this question, there was only one negative experience that immediately popped in my head, and honestly, it had nothing to do with LGBTQ plus environment. But 3.5 years ago, I was a personal trainer at another facility. I had been first a client there for a couple of years, and then the owner and lead personal trainer asked me to come on as a personal trainer as well. So I did so, and at the time he was one of my best friends. I adored him greatly, but he dabbled in some substances that I was not comfortable with. He pushed those on some clients that I found out that I was not comfortable with. But 3.5 years ago was when Jamie Lee is chasing her tail. Sorry if you can hear that. When Peter and Jared approached me and said, "Hey, we know that you're a trainer at that other gym, but we would really love for you to come on as a coach. And we obviously know that this would be a conflict of interest. Take all the time that you need to decide where you would like to do your coaching and training." And it took me like 2 or 3 weeks to really weigh out the pros and the cons. But there was just one big tipping action that took place at that gym that I witnessed. This former friend of mine and this lead trainer and coach and owner of this gym, he shoved his girlfriend, who was also a trainer there, in the gym during open hours in front of other clients. And can you please make her stop? In front of other clients, in front of other coaches, and that just was a major sucker punch right in the heart to me. I could not believe what I saw, because it hurt me so badly that I saw that from someone that I cared so much. And I know that certain substances will mess with your mind and your body. And it was at that point, even up to that point, I was leaning towards coming to Naptown Fitness at that time. But it was literally in that moment I said, "Oh, I need to leave. I can't be around this." So I parted ways, and it was the best decision I ever made because of that one negative experience.
Go ahead, Carol.
Oh no, you go. Yeah, I was just gonna say thanks for sharing that, Mickey.
That's what I was going to say. Did you have anything else you wanted to add? Anyone?
I was just gonna add one more thing that I just thought when we were talking about the little signs. Like when we did, when we were doing, and I know these things like can sometimes be underrated or they seem subtle, but on the positive side, I think when we did like Women's History Month or something, and we were talking about different athletes, we included a trans woman athlete, and I was just stuff like that that can make a difference, because there's a lot of people would stay away from that because they consider it political. And I think, candidly, I think that's bullshit. And I really like not staying away from that stuff and walking into what can sometimes be a conflict is, I think that makes me loyal in a way. And yeah, okay, cool. Like this, now I think you're going to fight to make sure somebody doesn't say something to me or shove somebody in this space. Like, even though it's, having a picture of an athlete on social, it may not seem like that big of a deal, but it is, because it adds up when you see that. So anyway, that was just another random thought about things that stand out. I'll stop
Well,
having a TED talk every random 5 minutes.
You're fine. I'm happy that you want to share. I was, thank you all so much for sharing all of that and for allowing yourselves to be vulnerable in front of everyone. I feel like some people are really open and want to share things, and it's really easy to, and sometimes it can, you don't want to share your personal life with people. You shouldn't really have to either. So I really appreciate you being able to answer some questions and just share your experiences with all of us. And I'm so happy to have had this conversation with you all and to work with you all at Myriad as well. And those of you that I don't work with, I just get to see around the gym as well. So final notes, anyone? Cool. Yes, hearts all around. Well, again, thank you all so much. And hopefully stay tuned. We're hoping that we will be able to get some more stories from some other people to share. Maybe not through video, but keep your eye open for that throughout Pride Month. And we'll also be at Pride this year as well. So you can come say hi to us at the booth if you are there hanging out for the day. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording.